Hello, darlings. You've all heard of Marilyn Monroe.
Welcome back, darlings. I'm TV host, entertainment journalist, Cognac, Wellerlane. And in just a moment, we are going to see a fabulous interview with fashionista Vivian Kelly. She knows everything there is to know about fashion. And we will be back with this fascinating interview with fashionista, writer, and Instagram influencer Vivian Kelly. Welcome back, darlings. I'm TV host, entertainment journalist, Cognac Wellerlane, and I am here with this fabulous fashionista. Her name, of course, is Vivian Kelly, and she is a vintage fashion expert. And we are going to talk about her and ask her all kinds of fabulous questions. But I want my audience to know just a little bit more about you, Vivian. So I'm going to read some information about you before we get into the questions. Vivian Kelly. Few people are passionate and studied about fashion as Vivian Kelly. Vivian has not only studied fashion, but more importantly, she has lived fashion for her entire life. She was born to a very stylishly chic French mother, and Vivian grew up in a world where all things chic and stylish were celebrated. She remembers going to the opera and the symphony as a young girl, and notes that her mother always insisted upon proper dress to fit every occasion. She carries this belief into her life today. So welcome, Vivian, to my fabulous pink kitchen, as you can see behind me.
Hi, Cognac. I'm so
Hello,
excited
darling.
to be here.
Yes.
And I was a little late because I learned that you love the color pink.
Yes.
I was watching an interview you did with Laura Faye Lewis, and you mentioned that. So I put together some things to show you from my collection.
I'm seeing right now that you are wearing, what you're wearing, I love. I absolutely love what you're wearing right now. It reminds me of like a 1960s Poochie type of a dress.
It is a Poochie.
I knew it was Poochie.
It is a Poochie. And
yes, I knew it was Poochie.
Now, one of my icons is Jacqueline Susann from Valley of the Dolls. And
I love that movie.
Right. And the books, I devoured the books as like a teenager. And I remember reading about her, and she always wore Poochie when she wrote. So that was the inspiration.
Well, how fabulous is that? Now, my first question to you is, does it make you angry that the world now that we live in has become so informal? Does it upset you? Because, you know, people back in the 60s even, everyone always dressed. I mean, you never saw anybody at an event wearing jeans or anything like that. I mean, does that upset you when you see people today going to restaurants and the opera? I mean, because I've seen it. I've seen people go to a Broadway show. I've seen people go, you know, to a fabulous place, and, you know, they're just not really dressed. Does that upset you?
Yes. I mean, you teed it up. We just did a Instagram live about this, and I had a little meltdown at the airport coming back from Miami Fashion Week last week. What I saw, like getting on and off planes at the airport, was just horrendous.
I know. People used to get dressed up even to go on a plane. They wore their furs, they wore their diamonds. They used to have a coordinated outfit. Now they come in like pajamas and slippers.
Yeah, pajamas and the faux fur slippers, maybe my least favorite thing. But I will say that I have a new saying. It's called "Don't disrespect the occasion." So people should think about that when they get dressed to go to, whether it's New York Fashion Week, the opera, a Broadway play. or just to travel. I mean, you get treated better if you dress better, I think.
Absolutely. I so totally agree with you. People look at you like, wow, this woman she's together, she's organized. And if it's a gentleman and he's all decked out, has an expensive watch on, and as you know, shoes are always the reason why people look at your shoes, because they know if you're wearing good shoes, you must be wealthy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the shoe. I think it was Gloria Baum, who used to be an editor at Vogue. Once I asked her, like, she always looked great. Of course, she's like Roman, so she's like fabulous to begin with. But I said, how do you get dressed? And she's like, I start with the shoe. And then she has a dress form, and then she dresses it the night before. And I thought that was fabulous. But I always start with the shoe. Like, what shoe am I going to wear today? I go from there.
And then the shoe, well, I once watched an interview with Lonnie Anderson, and she loves clothes, she loves fashion. She's an older lady now, but when she was very young, she said she used to buy the shoes first, and then she would have the dress made, because the dress had to go with the shoe, you know what I mean? So that was very, very important. But now we're going to get back into some more questions.
Okay.
As a young professional, you had some incredible role models. After graduating from the prestigious Duke University, you landed the job that a million girls would kill for as the personal assistant of the then editor-in-chief of Marabella magazine, Grace Marabella, who is Anna Wintour's predecessor. So
Correct.
Tell us about that experience of working with Grace Marabella. Tell us about what that was like and how you actually got that job.
That job was actually, okay, how I got it was a cold call. So I guess I've always kind of been in sales. I feel that you always have to sell something, whether it's yourself or whatever. And I would tell students, don't be afraid to reach out to people. You never know. It's kind of like baseball. Eventually you're going to hit the ball, right? So I had been working for Shearson Lehman, actually, not living my dream. And finally, my then fiance said, you know what, why don't you just stop doing that and do what you want to do? I was like, okay. So I called Vogue. I didn't get anywhere with that because they had a very elaborate system of personnel and all this kind of thing and hoops to jump through. So then I knew there was Marabella magazine, and I loved the aesthetic. It was very clean and minimalist. And I called, and I got the art director on the phone, of all people. I guess she just picked up. They were new and they were very short staffed. So normally someone of that rank wouldn't pick up the phone, but she did. And I said, hi, I'm Vivian, and I really want to work in fashion. And do you have any openings? I'd love an internship. And she's like, we talked for a little bit. And then she said, you sound too smart. Like, why do you want to do fashion? It's so dumb. I said,
she said that to you?
She said that to me. I said, well, I don't know. I just, my grandmother was so stylish. I grew up watching her.
And you came.
My mother, yeah. My mother.
And you know what, Vivian? Vivian, it's in your DNA. It's in your DNA. That's the truth, isn't it?
It is, and it's hard to explain to people. It's like, why do I have to justify that? But anyhow, I said, I don't know. I just have always wanted to do this, and I would really love the opportunity. She's like, all right, what are you doing this afternoon? I said, nothing. She's like, come on by. It was that easy. It just landed like that. So I went in there.
So many people are so intimidated. And a lot of people would love to do what you did, but I think they have like this fear that, they're not going to, no one's going to want to see me. Even if I call, even if I try, nobody, honestly, could you do that today? What you did then? Can you do that today?
Well, first of all, the whole thing has changed, Cognac. Magazines are not, what they were. They were not like the golden, ring that everyone wanted. I don't see why not. I mean, it would be a different outreach now. It would be, hooking up with someone's Instagram, building some kind of rapport and, direct messaging someone. But I know that a lot of these influencers have gotten deals doing that. I was talking to some of them in Miami, and, it's the same concept. You're still reaching out. It's just a different format.
Right. Right.
But anyhow,
And
so I went in there.
You are an influencer now yourself. You are considered an influencer yourself now.
That's so crazy. But yeah, thanks to Scott. And
thanks to Scott, that's what you are. Thanks to him. And because the whole, and that's what they want. They want to see how many Instagram followers you have, how many YouTube subscribers you have, and whether you are an actor, singer, someone in fashion. They look at those numbers, and that's what determines why they hire people. Sometimes it doesn't even matter how talented you are as an entertainer, because I interview a lot of people in the entertainment industry. And honestly, you might be a good actor, but if you don't have the followers, the subscribers, they're leery of investing any time or money into you. But now I want to go on and ask you another question. Was Grace Mirabella, was she an easy person, or was she like that movie, like Meryl Streep, Devil Wears Prada? Was she difficult?
To me, no. So she
liked you. She liked you because you were smart. You want to laugh? Vivian, I was in that movie with Meryl Streep. I was in that movie.
Were you?
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm
going to tell you a quick story because I don't want to go on about it, but I'll tell you a quick story. What happened? I was in the movie, and Pat Field, I love Pat Field. I've interviewed her many, many times, and they put me as a featured extra in the film. So Meryl Streep told David Frankel, the director, I don't want that woman in the scene because she's got platinum blonde hair, white hair, and I'm the only one that has to have white hair.
Oh.
So and she was very much like the character she played in the film. So they kept me in the movie, but you'll never see me. What you saw was like a blurred person walking in the background, so you don't know who it is, but I was in the movie. And then years later, I'm watching a TV show, Made in Hollywood, Teen Edition, where they're interviewing Patricia Field on the set. And I saw myself walking in the background, but I never saw myself in the movie. So that was my little Devil Wears Prada story. Now, so as you're working there, for Mirabella magazines, things started happening and the ball started to roll, and some positive things happened for you, and you started working for the iconic Parisian design house of Chloe, where you found yourself working with Karl Lagerfeld.
With Karl, yes.
Tell my audience about that. How did that happen?
Well, that again was Grace. So there were, as in the Devil Wears Prada, there's 2 assistants because someone of that stature had 2 assistants. So I had the plum job, which was second assistant, because I was not on the line every day. I did the easy stuff and supported the first assistant, who got yelled at a lot. I think they had, a bit of the personality conflict as well. So at any rate, I told Grace, well, my soon-to-be husband has to move to Germany because he works for a pharmaceutical company and they have a big position there. And I said, you know what, can you possibly write a letter? Because I need to get a job and I cannot be in Europe for like 2 years. It's supposed to be 2 years at this point. So my mom was French, as you said, and I wrote the letter in French. I had my mom check it. I had a letter of recommendation from Grace, and I started sending it or faxing it and mailing it. I can't remember. I think I did both, to Parisian fashion houses to see if they could use me. So I
Did you
got
send
two
it to
answers.
Chanel too? Did you send it to Chanel
Yep.
also? Yeah.
All I got back, I got two back, which was really good actually. So I got Chloe, and the other one I got was, oh my gosh, it was a couture house. So I didn't go down that road because couture, as you know, is in July. So I would have a job for what, 2 months? That wouldn't really work out.
Right.
So I decided to really go hard after the Chloe job, and it was months and months and months. I was living in Germany in the middle of nowhere outside of Frankfurt, like in Wine Valley. And eventually they're like, okay, can you come next week? I was like, absolutely. So I went over there, and there was a bit of a vacuum because the former Martine Sipon, the designer, had left. They were sort of in transition. It was the middle of the summer. And they were just kind of like getting ready for Carl. That was like the big thing. So Carl and his crew arrived in August, late August. And it was just like something out of a dream. So the Chloe at the time was in what's called an hôtel particulier, which is a huge, it's not even a townhouse. It's more spectacular. It's like 5 stories of, you know, beautiful moldings and everything. PR, I was in the PR department, was on one floor. Sales was on another floor, and Carl had the top floor. So there were just these narrow
It
staircases going
sounds
up.
like the building that I stayed, when I went to Paris, I stayed in a boutique hotel that was originally like a building like this. And it was the Napoleon. That was the name of the Parisian. You saw a view of the Arch de Triomphe. So it sounds a little bit like that kind of building that I was in, because I'm sure it was similar, and they converted it into a hotel.
Yeah.
It sounds like to me. Same kind of
But
building, same kind of architecture.
Yeah, no, there are quite a few of them. I mean, they're spectacular. But anyhow, so Carl arrived, and it was like a huge event. And it wasn't just Carl, it was his assistant right hand, Eric, and it was the models. The models just started pouring in. And I'm talking about supermodels like Stephanie Seymour, like Linda Evangelista, Naomi Campbell, all those girls, like one after the next, like
you don't
parading in
even
the
hear of,
halls.
you still hear of Naomi Campbell, but I never hear of Linda Evangelista anymore. What happened to her?
Well, she kind of retired. I mean, you know, she had an amazing career.
Yes.
And it just like, you know, those images by Stephen Meisel were just unbelievable. And anyone else she worked for, Peter Lindbergh, all those people. Well, yeah, I think Naomi has really stayed in the game, and she has a massive following on Instagram, and she does lives. Sometimes I listen to.
I still go on her. I look at her Instagram page every now and then. I still do that. But now you worked for Chloe, and you worked alongside of Karl Lagerfeld, but you branched off into public relations.
Well, the internship was for PR. I mean, I wanted to be like styling or something like that. I mean, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but at this point, you know, you take what you can get. So I had my ex's job got cut short because the guy who he had traded with had like a nervous breakdown in America. So we had to go back to America, and he would start in Connecticut. So that's where the big pharmaceutical was. So I was like, oh, okay. So what am I going to do now? So I went back to New York, and they had someone in my position at Mirabella. I was supposed to get something at the Chloe office, which is very small. It was like a satellite office. That fell through. And then I just started calling. So my boss, one of my bosses in Paris, gave me 5 phone numbers. And you were talking about hustling. Because I said, look, you know, I just bought a house, and I was depending on this job, and now I don't have this job. So can you help me out? So she gave me 5 contacts in New York. I called every single one of them, and it was like, oh, I can't help you, but you should call my friend David. David said, well, I can't help you, but you should call my friend Tina. And finally, I ended up with a very nice woman from Allure magazine who was like a dead ringer for Sharon Stone. And she's like, again, Cognac, I get the same thing. You sound too smart for this. Why do you want to do this? I'm like, all right, I
Well,
want
you
to do
have
this.
to work. I mean, come on, this is
Yeah.
silliness.
And I don't want to be a secretary. So, this is what I want to do. So she's like, okay, why don't you come into the Allure offices? So, I went in there, I looked around, and she's like, I think you should go work for a designer. You should call my friend Layla, who's at Michael Kors. I said, all right. So I called Layla, and she's like, I think I can use you. We have a show coming up, blah, blah, blah. So a few weeks later, like 3 weeks later, she calls me. She's like, can you come now? I was like, I can come tomorrow. So I went there, and Michael was in Europe, and I had never met him. I only met Layla, and she's like, I'm going to use you just, part-time. I need your help for the show. And it turns out that the database had crashed, and they needed to pull it back together for show invite lists. So that was my first job. And then helping with the show. And again, I saw many of the same girls I saw in Paris, all those supermodels.
Of course.
Because Michael, all the girls loved Michael, and they did the show. And then I was there, and I just continued to stay there. And eventually I met Michael. So funny story, I'd only seen a beautiful black and white, portrait of him. So I was in the office, business as usual, and this guy comes up to me in a sweatshirt. And I'm like, hi. And he's like, hi. And I was like, he's like, hi, I'm Michael. I'm like, oh, okay. Really nice to meet you. So embarrassing. I didn't recognize him, but like the portrait shots sometimes don't look like the actual person. He actually looked younger than the portrait.
Sometimes I'm interviewing celebrities, they change. They look different. Their hair, they cut their hair, they wear different makeup, Sometimes you don't recognize these people. And that's basically probably what happened in that situation.
Oh, he looked younger. He looked much younger than his portrait shot, which is usually the reverse, right?
Yes, that usually is the reverse. So, but you gave all of this up. You decide to give this up and start writing. You decided to stop doing it, and you wanted to write, and you wanted to start a family. So,
right.
And you did publications. You worked with you published work that appeared in many fashion publications. Tell us some of the fashion publications that you did write for.
Well, I got to meet CZ Guest, who is such a fashion icon. I mean, she's passed. Yes. And she was doing a little, so I lived in Ridgefield, Connecticut, which is part of Fairfield County, grew up in Greenwich, and she was, that kind of helped me get this piece done, because at the time, CZ was into her gardening phase, and she was on this fabulous estate in Long Island on the North Shore. And she was working with the Slatkins, and they had this candle company, they still do. And she collaborated to create special candles with them. And I was like, they were next level gorgeous. I think they were sold in Henry Bendel. So I got to speak to her on the phone. It was just such a moment. I'm usually not shy, but I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm speaking to her. Because I mean, all those images of Slim Aarons of her, at her pool with the dog,
yes.
It's just like, oh my gosh, this is really it. So there was that. I really love the business side of fashion because I got to see that up close when I was with Michael. I mean, he went through difficult times the first 2 years I was there. He was in Chapter 11 for the second time. And I helped with the show that got him financing from Onward Kashiyama, which pulled it out and started putting him on the road to prosperity. And of course, afterwards, he just became massively successful.
Works in Fashion Reverie, thefashionlist.com, where you have reviews from the sides of the runways of New York Fashion Week, and on your own weekly Instagram TV talk show, fashion, fashion, fashion with your partner in fashion using CFDA member designer and fashion publicist, Scott French. Tell my audience quickly, because we're coming to a close now with the interview, but tell my audience how you met Scott and why you decided to start this Instagram show, Fashion, Fashion, Fashion.
All right. Scott and I met years ago when I was the beauty editor and also a runway critic for Lucier magazine, which is based out of New Zealand. And one of the editors said, hey, you should come up and look at Scott's stuff. And at the time he was doing Chang. He had 2 lines. And I met him and I thought, God, this guy doesn't look like a fashion designer. He kind of looks like a Calvin Klein, you know, that really super clean look. I thought he was really nice. And I would just keep running into him, and I went to his shows. And then he launched the Fashion List with Meredith Garcia, and I would keep running into him. I started writing some Miami stuff because she went to Miami a few times, and we just became friends. And during the pandemic, I had 3 months off from work and really time to get back. My parents had been sick, so I wasn't able to do fashion. I was taking care of them. And then this time opened up during the pandemic. And I was like, you know, what do I want to do? Like, let me get my Instagram going. So I reached out to my best friend from college's brilliant son, who was at Wharton Business School, who was doing a little beta program for how to launch your own brand. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take his little course. And it was great. And then every week they were like, okay, you need to do this. You need to do that. Then they said, you need to be on Instagram Live. I'm like, well, like with who? And they're like, just pick a friend. So I was like, wait a minute, let me call Scott and see if he would do it. And it just started like that. Literally, we were home. We were looking for ways to promote our brands, and we were kind of bored. And I hadn't seen him in like a year or two. And it just started, and we started getting followers. I mean, it really surprised the 2 of us. But we both have a lot of experience, and we both are very forthright, or, we don't sugarcoat a lot. I mean, I'm not into blasting people, but, we like to tell people, well, this wasn't the greatest collection because A, B, C, D, E, or this was fantastic because A, B, C, D, E.
As a fashion expert, I mean, you've been around fashion your whole life. Yeah. And I don't mean just career-wise. Your mother, your grandmother. So, if you have something to say, people should listen. Am I right?
I think so, but it's just not the current way of, Instagram. It's a whole different thing where it's influencers who I don't really know their backgrounds and what they know. But in this case, I was like, let's just do this. Let's just have these conversations.
Let's just have fun. Now, how many,
exactly.
Can I ask you, well, that's what we're doing right now. We're having fun. Now, let me ask you, how many followers do you have on your Instagram? Fashion, fashion, fashion. How many Instagram followers?
Well, so for mine, I have like 877, but fashion, fashion, fashion typically gets 100 views like right away.
That's
the first day.
That's great.
And we have a lot of engagement. So that's what's really fun for us is people are regulars. They come back. We have people like Christina Nolt, who's a big producer, come on. We have Nicole Fishless. We have Epperson, a fashion designer. So we have kind of person.
I love Emerson. Oh my God, that's
Isn't
amazing.
He awesome?
Yes.
Yeah, so and really, I love the rapid fire. They'll type a question. Click Magazine that represents the Latino market. They'll say blah 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 blah, and you have to answer. I love that sort of rapid fire. You have to be on your feet. You have to pull from what you know. So I think that's what makes it work.
And makes it exciting and makes it fresh and makes it innovative. Now tell my audience, if we want to follow fashion, what is these Instagram? Is it called fashion? Because I'm going to put a link below.
Oh, thank you so much. So Scott and I alternate weeks. So last week, a few days ago, it was on my Instagram, which is @thefashionhistorian. Okay. But the other 50% is on at R. Scott French.
Fabulous.
And then
Fabulous.
we're figuring out another technical challenge, how to grab the other person's and put it on ours and eventually on YouTube. So it's a work in progress.
Well, you'll get there. I mean, like anything in life, this is a learning. We're all learning how to change, and technology and everything's new to us. But we look at us. We're doing the Zoom. So
yeah.
Do you have a website at all, or is it just the Instagram?
Actually, I will be having a website on the fashion list. So I have a column on the fashion list. We just like redid it. It has a whole new format. It's beautiful. It's really clean. And
we can follow you on, tell us again your Instagram page.
The Fashion Historian.
Fabulous. Well,
and
Vivian.
May I show you this?
Yes.
I think you need this shirt in your life. Can you see this?
Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Okay, this is Anna Molinari Blue Marine from the 90s. I was in Rome with my husband, and the dollar was really strong, and he was just like, oh, go buy yourself something. So I was like, oh my God, okay. So I saw that and I was like, I don't know who the designer is. I don't care. I need that. That is one of my most precious things. Yes.
Well, Vivian, I have to say, I had so much fun interviewing you. We're out of time. I didn't get to interview. I wish I could interview you some more, but I have other things I have to run and do. But you are such a joy to interview. I wish I was there to give you a pink champagne kiss, but I'm going to blow it to you. I'm going to blow it to you. And I want to thank you for coming on Cognac's Corner. And we will be back in a moment with more celebrity interviews, darlings. Keep watching. Pink champagne.
Thank you so much, Cognac. Mwah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my interview with fashionista and Instagram influencer Vivian Kelly. I just enjoyed interviewing her. She was so interesting and so fabulous. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is always about celebrity interviews and fascinating and fashionable fashion hauls, shopping hauls with Shein, Fashion Nova, Victoria's Secret, and of course my favorite, Amazon. And don't forget to ring the notification bell to let you know when I publish a new video. I always publish a video every Sunday or every Monday. And I love you all, and pink champagne kisses.
Hello, darlings. You've all heard of Marilyn Monroe. Some of you know Bridget Bardot. Well, now it's time for the Cognac Show. I said Cognac, ooh, ooh. I said Cognac, ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm a bubbly blonde, fabulously dressed to impress. One of a kind girl. I was brought into this world wrapped up in pearls. I love to mingle, though my husband reminds me I'm not single. I meet and greet both the famous and the elite. I ride in limousines, drinking the finest champagne, wearing furs, dazzling diamond jewelry. A girl can't complain. I live the upscale life, dining in the finest restaurants, eating the best caviar for free. And no matter how much I enjoy cognac, ooh, ooh. I said cognac, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's been a Crybaby Productions, darlings.